There's a moment almost every dog owner knows. You're sitting on the couch. Maybe you've had a long day. Maybe you're just watching something on TV and letting your mind go quiet. And then your dog walks over, settles beside you, and starts licking your hand. You probably smiled. Maybe you let them. Maybe you gently moved your hand away. And then you went back to whatever you were doing. But here's the thing. That moment, that small, ordinary, easily dismissed moment, was your dog saying something specific, something that has roots in millions of years of social evolution, something that, if you understood it fully, might change how you see every lick they've ever given you. Because when your dog licks you, they're not just being affectionate in some vague, cheerful way, they're communicating, and the language they're using is far more layered than most people realize. By the end of this video, you'll see it differently. You'll understand what drives it, what it means when it changes, what it signals about your dog's inner state, and what it tells you about the relationship between the two of you. Let's start at the beginning, because the beginning is a place almost no one thinks about. The first lick. Before your dog ever knew you, before they had a name or a home or a favorite spot on your couch, licking was how they survived. Within minutes of birth, a mother dog licks her puppies. She does it to stimulate breathing, to clean them, to encourage circulation. And in doing so, she begins something deeply biological. She teaches them that a tongue on skin means safety, that contact means warmth, that being touched this way means you are not alone. This is not sentimental, it's neurological. Those first licks trigger the release of hormones that calm the body and activate the social brain. Puppies who receive consistent licking from their mothers grow up showing lower stress responses than those who didn't. The body learns the equation early. Licking equals care and care equals safety. So when your adult dog licks you years later, they aren't doing something that just looks like affection. In some ways, they are returning to the oldest emotional language they ever learned, the one that first told them the world was going to be okay. Why they lick you. Specifically. Here's something worth pausing on. Your dog doesn't lick everyone. They may lick strangers occasionally. Some dogs are more socially forward than others, but there's almost always a difference between how they lick a familiar stranger and how they lick you. With you, it tends to be longer, softer, more deliberate. Sometimes they'll lick your hand and then rest their chin on it. Sometimes they'll lick your face and then press their forehead against your cheek. It doesn't look like a quick social greeting. It looks like something else. That's because it is. Dogs read chemical information from skin. Your skin carries your cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress. It carries salt from exertion. It carries the residue of your day, what you ate, where you were, who you touched, how you felt. To your dog, your skin is a detailed report on your current state. When your dog licks you, they're often gathering information, yes, but they're also responding to it. Research on dog behavior and human interaction has found that dogs are remarkably sensitive to human stress signals, vocal tone, posture, facial expression, and scent. A dog bonded to their owner often approaches when cortisol is elevated. They make contact, they lick. And in many cases, that physical gesture appears to be a genuine attempt at comfort, not just instinct playing out blindly, but a directed response to a perceived emotional state. They sense something is off, and they do the thing that from the very beginning of their lives has meant, I am here. You are not alone. The grooming layer. There's a second reason dogs lick people that sits right alongside emotional communication, and it's worth understanding because it adds a different dimension to the behavior. In dog social groups, whether in the wild or in a multi-dog household, mutual grooming is one of the primary ways dogs maintain their social relationships. They lick each other's ears, faces, and heads. They focus on spots the other dog can't easily reach. It's practical, yes, but it's also social. It says, you belong to my group. You matter enough for me to tend to. When your dog licks you, especially around your face, your hairline, your ears, they may be doing something very similar. They may be treating you as a member of their social world who deserves the same care they'd offer another dog they feel close to. That's not a small thing. In the dog's social framework, grooming is not casual. It's an expression of belonging. It's the physical vocabulary of "you are mine and I am yours." The next time your dog carefully licks along your forehead or focuses on your ear, consider that they may not be doing something random. They may be doing something deliberate, placing you inside the circle of those they choose to care for. When it happens after you've been away, almost every dog owner has experienced this. You come home after hours away, and your dog greets you at the door. There's the tail, the body, the noise, all of it. And then the licking, sometimes frantic, sometimes just persistent and focused. Most people read this as excitement, and part of it is. But underneath the excitement is something more specific: recognition and relief. Your dog has been tracking your absence, not with a clock, but with something older, with a sense of routine disrupted and then restored. When you walk through that door, they don't just see you, they smell you, they verify you. They run the full chemical check of your scent and confirm, "This is my person. This is the one." The licking that follows is partly a reestablishment of connection. It's the physical act of reintegrating you back into the relationship after a gap. Behaviorally, it mirrors what puppies do when their mother returns, a burst of affiliative behavior that says the waiting is over and the bond is intact. If you ever feel guilty about leaving your dog during the day, watch the homecoming carefully. That licking isn't just excitement, it's relief made physical, and it's directed at you, specifically only at you, because of everything that exists between you. The lick that asks for nothing. Here's the one that I think matters most, and it's also the one that's easiest to overlook. You're not stressed, you're not just home, you're just sitting there, reading, or watching something, or doing something on your phone, and your dog walks over. There's no immediate trigger, nothing has changed, and they lick you quietly for a moment, and then settle beside you or simply walk away. This is not a lick of excitement or relief. It's not a request for food or attention. It asks for nothing in return. This is what some behaviorists describe as a spontaneous affiliative gesture. The dog is not reacting to something external. They are initiating contact from a place of internal ease. They feel settled enough, secure enough, comfortable enough that they simply want to touch you. Think about what that means. Your dog isn't always licking you because they need something. Sometimes they lick you because you are the thing that makes their world feel right. You are the familiar presence in the room that their nervous system has learned to associate with calm. They're not trying to communicate distress. They're not signaling anxiety. They're doing the opposite. They're expressing ease, the kind of ease that only exists between two beings who have built something genuine over time. In a bonded dog, that quiet, unprompted lick might be the clearest expression of what they feel. Not because they lack the vocabulary to say more, but because in their world, that small action says everything. When licking becomes something else. I want to spend a moment here, not to alarm you, but because understanding the full picture is part of what makes you a more attentive owner. Licking can shift from expression to compulsion, and the line between the two is worth knowing. If your dog has always licked you occasionally and continues to do so, that's behavioral continuity. But if you notice that the licking has become persistent, if your dog is licking you repeatedly, almost urgently, in ways that seem difficult to interrupt, it may be worth paying attention to the context. Dogs often increase repetitive self-soothing behaviors when their stress levels rise. A dog going through a significant change, a new home, a new family member, a disrupted routine, a loss, may lick more frequently and more intensely as a way of managing their internal state. In these cases, the licking isn't just about you, it's also about them, about trying to regulate something they don't have the tools to name. Similarly, if your dog is licking their own paws, legs, or skin obsessively in addition to licking you, that deserves a conversation with a veterinarian or a behaviorist. Chronic repetitive licking can sometimes signal discomfort, physical or psychological, that's being channeled into the one behavior that reliably provides a measure of calm. But please notice, I'm not saying licking is a warning sign. It almost never is. The vast majority of licking is healthy, relational, and normal. What I am saying is that you know your dog, you know their baseline, and if something in the behavior has changed, if it feels different, more urgent, harder to interrupt, that change is information worth noticing. The dog who licks you calmly and occasionally is communicating ease. The dog whose licking has recently become insistent may be asking for something they can't otherwise express. Both are forms of communication. One just requires more from you in return. What you do with it matters. This is something that doesn't get talked about enough. How you respond to your dog's licking actually shapes the behavior over time, and more importantly, it shapes how your dog reads your availability as a source of comfort. If your dog licks you and you consistently move away, redirect them, or respond with mild irritation, they will often continue trying, sometimes with more intensity, because the need underneath the behavior hasn't been met. This is not about whether licking is hygienic or comfortable for you. That's a personal preference and entirely valid. It's about whether your dog understands that reaching for you is a reliable option. If you consistently acknowledge the lick, even gently, even briefly, if you pause what you're doing for a moment and make contact with them, you're doing something important. You're confirming that their gesture was received. You're saying, in the language they're using, that the connection is intact. You don't have to love being licked. A calm hand on their back, a word spoken quietly, a moment of attention before returning to what you were doing. That's enough. What you're communicating in those small responses is this: I noticed you. I see what you were doing, and you are not invisible to me. That is, in the deepest sense, what every dog hopes to receive from the person they have chosen. The science behind why it feels good for them. When a dog licks someone they're bonded to, their body releases oxytocin. You may have heard of it as the bonding hormone. It shows up during social connection, physical contact, and moments of closeness between individuals who have history with each other. Here's what's remarkable. When a dog licks their owner, oxytocin levels rise in the dog, and research has shown that in bonded pairs, the owner's oxytocin levels tend to rise as well. The biology moves in both directions. The licking isn't just something your dog does for you, it's something the act of doing restores in them. This is why licking often looks so deliberate and focused. From the dog's point of view, it is satisfying in a real physiological way. It activates the same biological systems that are activated during any genuine act of social bonding. It calms something, it settles something, it reinforces the connection between them and you at a chemical level. Your dog is not performing affection, they are experiencing it, and the act of expressing it makes them feel more of it. That loop, the lick that produces calm, the calm that deepens attachment, the attachment that makes the next lick more meaningful, that is one of the more beautiful things happening in the ordinary life you share with your dog. What they're really telling you. Let's bring it together. When your dog licks you after a hard day, they may be responding to something in your scent, a change in your chemistry that their nose has read before their eyes have even found your face. When they lick you at the door after hours apart, they're running the full check, verifying you, welcoming you back into the relationship with every tool they have. When they lick your face slowly, working their way around your features with what can only be described as care, they may be doing what their social instincts have always told them to do with the ones they are closest to. Tending to them, claiming them gently, saying, "You are part of my group and I will look after you." And when they lick you quietly, unprompted, in the middle of an unremarkable evening, that is perhaps the most honest thing they can offer. It is not a performance, it is not a request. It is simply the small physical expression of a contentment they feel because you are there. There's something worth sitting with in that. Most of us have dogs because we love them, but we sometimes forget that they have chosen us, not because they had to, but because something in the accumulation of shared time and small moments built something in them that looks very much like devotion. The lick is one of the ways they tell us. The next time your dog walks over and licks your hand, you don't have to do anything differently. You don't need a new routine or a new response. You just need to notice it with a little more understanding than you had before. Because what's happening in that moment is not a small thing dressed up to look significant. It is a genuinely significant thing happening in a small, soft, everyday way. Your dog has learned your smell. They have tracked your moods without ever being taught how. They have found over time the specific way to reach for you that feels most natural to them. And this is it. This quiet, familiar gesture. This thing they've done 100 times that you may have half noticed and half let pass. They are telling you that you are their person. And in the language of dogs, there are very few ways to say something more clearly than that. If your dog licks you in a way that suddenly makes a little more sense after this video, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Tell me when it happens, what you were doing, or just what kind of dog has chosen you. I read everyone. And if you want to keep understanding your dog at this level, the small behaviors, the subtle signals, the things that are so ordinary you could miss them, subscribe to Dog Truths. That's exactly what we're here for. Take care of yourself, and take care of the one who already takes care of you in every small way they know how.